Good evening and welcome to our regularly scheduled board meeting for December 9th. At this time, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, good evening, board members and members of the public. We are officially, I will call this meeting to order. There are no additions or deletions to the agenda tonight. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as outlined?
Second.
Motion by Anna, second by Jackie. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Our first item on our agenda tonight is usually and often fails to disappoint as our favorite portion of the agenda. It is our recognition portion. At this time, I would like to welcome Eastview High School Principal Bruce Miller to the podium to introduce Mia Battistone, the 2025 Minnesota Association of Family and Consumer Sciences Teacher of the Year.
Good evening, board members, Chairperson Johnson, and Superintendent Bolsoni. I'm Bruce Miller, principal of Eastview High School. I'm pleased to be here to celebrate Mia Battistone as the Minnesota Association of Family and Consumer Sciences Teacher of the Year. We were just here a few short months ago in July with Ms. Battistone when she was recognized as one of 5 semifinalists for the National Advisor of the Year for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, or for her leadership in our FCCLA program. This Teacher of the Year recognition is for her outstanding dedication to her students, innovative teaching methods, and commitment to advancing family and consumer science education in Minnesota. When you visit Mia's classroom, you will see her teaching with creativity and compassion with practical life skills woven into our curriculum. She has made a profound impact on her students with a focus on topics like financial literacy, nutrition, child development, and teacher education. She facilitates their learning to equip them with the essential skills for their personal and professional futures. Mia's ability to connect with students and foster an inclusive, engaging learning environment has made her a beloved educator and a role model for her peers. She exemplifies the highest standards of excellence, and her unwavering dedication to her students truly sets her apart. She is not only preparing her students for success, but also inspiring the next generation of family and consumer sciences professionals, specifically as a mentor to new teachers through the Career and Technical Education Teacher Induction Program, where she provides support to new family and consumer science teachers across Minnesota. We are doubly proud of Mia as a District 196 graduate of Rosemount High School and an inaugural member of Eastview High School's faculty. And before she came to Eastview, she was a teacher at Dakota Hills Middle School. She is a true 196er. Mia, this is a well-deserved honor. Congratulations for your remarkable achievements, and thank you for what you do to support our students. Mia Battistone.
Give you a permanent recognition. I love it. So great to see you.
Congratulations.
Excellent. Next, I would like to welcome Eastview Band Director Matt Gullickson to the podium to introduce the Eastview Marching Band.
Good evening, board members, Chairperson Johnson, and Superintendent Bolsoni. My name is Matthew Gullickson, and I am one of the band directors at Eastview High School, and I'm here presenting the Eastview Marching Band and our amazing student drum majors. This year, the Eastview Marching Band competed in 4 events throughout the Midwest and were finalists at the Rosemount Marching Festival, the Bands of America Iowa Regional, the Sioux Falls Festival of Bands, and the Youth and Music Championships held at U.S. Bank Stadium. At the Youth and Music Championships, Eastview placed second of 34 bands in the preliminary competition and second again at finals for their highest placement we've ever received in the 20-year history of the event. And I bet the people in this room can guess who got first. A big shout out to the Rosemount Marching Band. They run an amazing program, and we're happy to share the stage with them. Adding to the excitement of the day, the EVMB finished ahead of 4 incredible bands that had bested us earlier in the year or last season. Most importantly, the 160 members of the band poured their heart into delivering a passionate performance of their show, which could be seen in the tears of joy students were sharing after their final performance. Eastview's show this year was entitled Strength in Musicianing, and it combined the art of musicianship with the world of exercise, featuring Gonna Fly Now from the movie Rocky, Chicken Fat, a song commissioned by JFK's Council on Physical Fitness, and even an appearance from Richard Simmons. Here, representing the Eastview Marching Band tonight, are 3 award-winning drum majors. Clover could not be here, he's at Les Mis right now, but May Tang and Sarvesh Anandaganesan, thank you, and thank you to the board for your continued support of arts across the district.
Good job. Congratulations. Thank you. Oh, that's okay.
Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Thanks for coming. All right. Next, I'd like to welcome Rosemont High School Assistant Principal Calvin Kiesling to the podium to introduce the RHS Marching Band.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. As you said, my name is Calvin Kiesling. I'm an assistant principal at Rosemount High School in charge of the fine arts. It's my pleasure tonight to present our Rosemount High School Marching Band for recognition. Before I share information about the achievements of our 2024 Rosemount Marching Band, I would like to recognize 4 key components in the success of our marching band program. First, our district's commitment to Band for All. This commitment has made it so that every elementary, middle, and high school student who attends our district has the opportunity, regardless of means, to participate in band. RHS has the largest number of students who have benefited from Band for All in District 196. Second, the support of parents, guardians, and family members for our students learning to play instruments, practice instruments, attend rehearsal, and participate in competitions. Our Rosemount High School Marching Band of 230 students, this year, a little bit smaller at 195, is a success today because of the love, support, and vision of their parents and guardians. Third is the leadership and direction of our instrumental music staff at RHS. We have 4 amazing directors, and all 4 are here tonight. I'd like to recognize them at this time. Taylor Eliason, Calvin Lepetsky, Scott Palmer, and Leon Sieve. And fourth, our students. Our 195 marching band students who have each put in over 200 hours of rehearsal time, not counting sectional time, performance time, and individual practice, since July. These 4 components led to the band's performance of Table for Two at the 19th Annual Youth and Music Championships, earning them the title of Minnesota State Champions in 4A, Class 4A champions, as well as Grand Champions of the event. This recognition marks the 17th time out of the 18 years that Rosemount has been participating that they've been named state and grand champions. After this competition, which included 34 bands, the band competed at Bands of America St. Louis Super Regional at the end of October, where they placed 3rd in Class 3A and 6th overall out of 69 bands competing. Then, on the second weekend of November, the band competed at Grand Nationals in Indianapolis and qualified for the semifinals as a top 30 ensemble out of 113 national bands. At Rosemount, we have 4 gifted student leaders who have guided and supported their marching bandmates in achieving success this season. They are our drum majors. They embody the Irish way and our core values and are here to represent the marching band this evening. They are Paige Babcock, Sophia Erickson Schultz, Bella Huss, and Neha Chetty. It is my pleasure to present them to you on behalf of the Rosemount High School Marching Band for your recognition of their achievement for being first in the state and having received the title of Grand Champions at the Youth and Music Championship on October 12th.
Awesome job. Fantastic. I love watching your marching band. Great job. Amazing job. Great job. Thanks for being here. All right. Next, I'd like to welcome Eagan High School Athletic Director and Assistant Principal Jason Elias to the podium to make our next few introductions on the agenda.
Good evening, board members, Chairperson Johnson, and Superintendent Balsani. I'm Jason Elias, the Athletic Director at Eagan High School, and we are honored to be here tonight to celebrate an incredible fall sports season and to honor our outstanding athletes, especially our state champions. This fall season has been nothing short of inspiring, and we're excited to recognize the hard work, dedication, and achievements of all our students. Tonight, several people are gone because we have games tonight, so I'm running out right after. Third place this year in tennis. Kassan Lee, one of the team's captains in tennis, qualified for the state individuals and singles. She breezed through her section matches, not dropping a single game in her 4 matches, placing first in the section. Heading into the state, she was seeded 4th. Kassan had a tough round, a 3-set semifinal match with the first seed, the eventual state champion. She was able to come back the next match, placing 3rd in the state, which capped off a remarkable season for Kassan's junior year. Kassan's humbleness, grit, and determination and success at such a high level of tennis was beyond inspiring and representing Eagan in 196. She is not here tonight. Next up, I have the girls soccer team. This year's girls soccer team was a special group that stood out for their resilience, talent, and commitment to the team. They weren't just athletes, they were a team in the truest sense, supporting each other and pushing each other to be better every day. Their 3rd place finish at the state tournament is a reflection of their hard work and determination. They've represented the Eagan community in 196 with pride, and we couldn't be prouder of what they have achieved. And with us tonight is Abigail, Audrey, Isabel, Kate, and Igna. So you guys can go through. Thanks.
Great job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Welcome. Congratulations.
You can go right next to me. And next up this season is the boys soccer team made history by winning the first state title in school history. Their path to victory was nothing short of legendary. Their 3 overtime wins to claim the state title was amazing. The boys finished with a record of 20 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Coach PK is going to have the kids do their names, but before we do that, anybody who's associated with Eagan tonight, can you please stand up so we can thank you for coming? So if you're a parent, we appreciate you coming tonight too. Thank you. And before Coach PK announces the kids, I do want to thank the board, Mr. Hanson, Dr. Rakowski, and Superintendent Balsani for their continued support of athletic programs. Our student athletes, our dedicated coaches, and our facilities that make it all possible. Your commitment plays a vital role in fostering a positive and enriching experience for Eagan, our community in 196. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and we deeply appreciate the impact that you have on the lives of our students and staff. Thank you for all you do. Coach PK.
Hello, Coach PK here. Just want to introduce some of the names. This doesn't represent our whole team, but some of the members are here. We have first Jake Sondag, Sion Tapa, Graham Johnson, Zayon Oliath, Zach Rojas, Carson Kanapik, and Blake Prouty.
Congratulations. Awesome. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Amazing. Congratulations, Coach. Awesome win. Thanks for coming tonight.
Right. And our last under recognition tonight is I would like to welcome Dakota United Hawks head coach Brett Kozadowski to the podium to introduce the adapted soccer state champions in the CI division.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Balsoni. We're excited to be here tonight. Coach Scott Coonsey and I were joking that the only way that we now at Rosemont Middle School, where we teach, are going to see Eric Hansen is to come and do these. So it's good to see you, Eric, in the back. This moment means so much more than just a win. It's a culmination of years of hard work, growth, and belief. To the Hawks that have experienced 3 runner-up championship games in a row to the same team at the state tournament, this victory is extra special, and I'm so proud to stand here with each and every one of you on this team. Over the past few years, we've been through it all. 3 times in a row, we've come so close, but we fell short. And those losses, as painful as they were, shaped us. They tested us. They made us stronger. And I think what makes this victory extra sweet was that we just didn't win a championship. We earned this moment through every setback, every heartbreak, and every time that we got back up and kept fighting. It wasn't easy. 3 times in a row, we came up short against the Lakeville, Farmington, Burnsville Blazing Cats in the championship game. And every time people counted us out, said we weren't good enough, said that we didn't have what it took. But we didn't listen to the doubters. We took those losses, those painful moments, and we used them as fuel. And today, we stand here as champions because we never gave up. We learned from our failures, we grew stronger, and we found a way to overcome. This victory isn't just about the game. It's about everything that we've taught and everything that we've learned to get here. This isn't just the end, though. Isn't just the end of a season. It's the start of a new chapter. We've proven that we can overcome anything. We've proven that we can face adversity and come out stronger. And while we're going to enjoy this championship, we know that next season we'll be back at it, ready to defend our title. To all the Hawks out there, we're family. Let's celebrate this moment. We've earned it. We are finally adapted soccer champions.
Woo!
All right, standing up here tonight, we've got Josh, we've got Jake, Colin, Henry, Mackay, Jacob, Ada, Alex, Moosey, Miles, Melina, Aiden, Coach Kyle, and Coach Scott. Thank you for having us tonight. We appreciate it.
Awesome job. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Awesome job. Congratulations. Absolutely. Thanks for coming, Coach. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Absolutely.
Great story. Great.
Love it. Oh, yeah, sure. All right. Next on the agenda is superintendent's recognition, and I would like to turn the meeting over to Superintendent Bolsoni for his recognition of student and staff.
Thank you so much, Chair Johnson. I'm Michael Balsoni, Superintendent of District 196, and tonight for recognitions, I am privileged to invite Bianca Vernig to the podium to receive recognition for her board service. I'll invite you to come up at this time. Representative Vernig was elected to serve on the District 196 School Board in 2021, taking office in January of 2022, and served for 2 years before being elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives in a special election on December 4th, 2023, and then resigning from the school board. Prior to being elected to the school board, Representative Vernig was an active member of the District 196 Budget Advisory Council, serving more than 3 years as a citizen representative to the group. As an advocate for school safety and repairing aging facilities, she was instrumental in our community's approval of the May 2023 bond referendum to address security and safety, aging infrastructure, and enrollment growth as one of the highlights of her service. Today, Representative Vernig continues to advocate strongly for children, families, and public education in the legislature. Bianca, thank you for your dedicated public service, and as a token of our appreciation, please accept this brass bell as a symbol of your service to District 196. Thank you. I'd also just like to say, as Bianca comes through, we always appreciated her inquisivity, asking a lot of good questions, and really making us consider issues from a variety of viewpoints. So thank you, Bianca. Next, I want to congratulate the student groups that we honored for arts and athletic achievements tonight. There was so much talent in this room. I think they're in the hallways right now. Just amazing. It's just humbling to be here and have these student recognitions in this way. Last month, I mentioned that our theater performances were happening. We have some new ones that I'll mention a little bit later tonight. But I want to congratulate the Apple Valley High School cast and crew of Sister Act the Musical, which earned the spotlight recognition from the Hennepin Theater Trust. I'm confident that more of our high school performances will join them in June when the Hennepin Theater Trust holds its special high school spotlight event. I also want to welcome coming up soon our 4 speakers tonight who have submitted requests for special communication to the school board. We will hear from individuals who wish to support our cultural family advocates. I want to thank you all in advance for sharing your perspectives with the board. I want to also have everyone know that we value the important work of our cultural family advocates. Our district is currently engaged in collective bargaining with this group and have not yet come to terms on wages and benefits, but that is in no way a reflection on the positive impact that CFAs have on our students and families and staff in District 196. CFAs are appreciated, and we are committed to reach a resolution soon. That ends my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Superintendent Bolsoni. Next on the agenda is our special communication requests. We have 4 people signed up for special communication requests this evening. People who'd like to speak during special communication requests must submit a form at least 5 working days in advance of the meeting. 10 speakers receive up to 4 minutes to share comments. We do use a timer for public comment. So for those speakers, once I call you up to the podium for a special communication request, speakers in the audience, when I call you up to the podium, if you could come up and start by stating your name and connection to the district, we'll then start the timer. You'll see a little, some lights on the podium. The green means your time has started. When you have about 30 seconds remaining, the light will change to amber, and when your time is up, it'll change to red, and you'll hear a little beeping. Please conclude your comments at that time if you haven't wrapped up yet. Additionally, special communication request speakers are reminded not to share personal complaints with any members of the district or staff by calling people up by name, things like that. There are other avenues for that. Additionally, just a reminder that the board generally does not respond to special communication requests when they're made at the podium. This is a time for board members to listen and hear from the community. However, if any questions are asked or follow-up is needed, a board member or a member of the administration will follow up with the individual speaking after the meeting. With that, I would like to welcome our first special communication request speakers to the podium tonight, Iruela Aluko and Morisa Smoot. And please kindly, I do my best to pronounce names, but I do make mistakes, so please correct me if I screwed that up, and my apologies in advance.
Hello, my name is Iria Luco.
And my name is Marisa Smoot. We are the District 196 Class of 2024 alumni.
Good evening, Superintendent Bolsoni, Chairperson Johnson, and board members.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak before you today.
Today we are here to speak on behalf of the Cultural Family Advocates.
The impact that they have on us through the years in this district were great, and we are thankful to have them in our schools.
Our journeys with the Cultural Family Advocates started around the same time at Black Hawk Middle School.
My story is coming from North Minneapolis, where the school districts were really different from the school districts here. I struggled a lot in school as a child and as a kid. I got into a lot of trouble growing up. I wasn't really the best kid in school. But in my 7th grade year, I met a cultural family advocate. Her name was Miss Rochelle. Not only did Miss Rochelle speak up for me when times I couldn't speak up for myself, she also mentored me and guided me and led me. She helped me through my hardest times in school, not only in 7th grade, but 8th grade and all my years in high school. She motivated me to do my best in school, even when I wanted to give up. Not only that she motivated me, she helped me and molded me to the person I am today. I remember this time where I wanted to give up in high school. It was so hard for me, but she gave me faith. She gave me power to keep on going and to stay on track.
My story started out at Black Hawk Middle School. I was a slightly troublesome kid that got into arguments with others and would always get sent to the counselor's office. It had gotten to a point where I was one call away from getting a suspension. When I was in 7th grade English class, my teacher got a phone call that called me up to the counselor's office. I thought to myself, what did I do this time? But it turned out to be the day I met Rochelle Redmond. After that, first call, I would go to her office every week and talk to her about how school was going, if anything was going on that I wanted to talk about, and how I was doing as a person. After meeting her, all the anger that was suppressed in me had slowly went away, and I became more and more calm. I began to make more friends and started to enjoy coming to school more. Rochelle later started a Black girls group that we went to once a week. It gave us all a space to talk about what or who was troubling us at school, a space that we could come to whenever we needed to. The support that Rochelle gave us followed me throughout all my years in high school and even after I graduated. She supported me with everything, no matter what I was going through, and she was and still is someone I can confide in, and for that I am grateful.
See, this is why having a culture family advocate is so important. Not only that they help us, but they hear us. Thank you, Ms. Rochelle, for always being there for us.
Thanks to all the other cultural family advocates we met throughout the years, and thank you Superintendent Bolsoni, Chairperson Johnson, and board members for giving us this opportunity to speak here today. Thank you.
Our next special communication request speaker I'd like to welcome to the podium is Nemo Getty.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nemo Getty. I'm a cultural family advocate, and I've had the privilege of serving our district and families for the last 16 years. Today, I would like to share why cultural family advocates deserve a fair contract. Our role does not only vary and is demanding, but very impactful. We dedicate most of our professional and some of our personal time to building bridges of knowledge and understanding between students and teachers and families, and school district and wider community. Some of the work we do is things that most of us in this room take for granted. For example, we help families complete registration forms to enroll their children in school. We set up their Seesaw and Schoology account and encourage parents to use the accounts to track their children's academic progress. We help families complete annual applications for educational benefits, so those eligible for free and reduced prices, such as school activities, academic testing fees, and athletic participation, can do so. We assist in completing child history questionnaires for IEP evaluations and assessment forms so they can get appropriate services. We even help complete FAFSA forms and ensure that children are on track to graduate. In addition, we develop and offer cultural training for staff. The aim is to give administrators and teachers the time to reflect on the prevailing issues affecting our communities and better understand how culture, social, economic factors impact students' educational attainment. Our culturally and linguistically specific family nights have been a great success. On those nights, we discuss various topics so that families can better understand the school policies and services that we provide. We collaborate and invite different experts to our meetings to explain their programs, assessments, and qualifying processes. One of my favorite is that we offer authentic youth engagement programs through our cultural leadership groups. We take students on field trips, and we commonly do this on non-instructional days and weekends. Recently, cultural family advocates have partnered with Lebanon Hill BIPOC Ski Club so that we can recruit more students of color and reduce the barriers to cross-country skiing in Lebanon Hill. We also engage in wider stakeholders. In the last decade, we collaborate with other cultural liaisons in neighboring South of the River District. We formed a partnership with Dakota County so that we can bring more resources to our families. We work to address some of the broader determinants of health and social well-being impacting education. While the scope of our work is limited to education, a good and safe start at home sets children up very well. The Dakota County Board of Commissioners presented our collaborative with a 2024 Public Health Achievement Award. This is what they had to say during the award ceremony, and I quote, "Cultural liaison and cultural family advocates are often the first and sometimes the only trusted contact for families new to our county and state. They help them navigate the school systems and other services, including affordable housing, food access, dental care, mental health services, and more. Our families choose District 196 for our highly rated schools, but also how welcoming our school district is for all our families. This legacy and welcoming environment are fostered in no small part but by the presence of Culture Family Advocate. With an increasing diverse student body and workload for Cultural Advocate, it is just as important for the district to support us with a fair contract. This means true raise that scales with inflations and covers healthcare increases. I cannot think of a more worthy cause to invest in. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker I'd like to welcome to the podium is Felix R. Martinez Paz.
Good evening. Good evening, the representative of District 196 School Board. My name is Felix Martinez Paz. My pronouns are he, him, él, and I'm a proud Latino who was called Egan home for the past 23 years. Over these years, my daughters have the privilege of being part of District 196 schools, journeying from elementary school to high school graduation, from SES and the other one from Egan High School. Their success is a testament not only to their hard work, but also to the profound impact of the district cultural family advocates. Advocates do more than guide families through education systems. They create sense of belonging and the empowerment that once was absent. When my family first entered the district, there were no cultural liaisons. While the community was welcoming, there was little that reflected our identity or told my daughters that their full selves, Latina, bicultural, bilingual, were seen and celebrated. We filled the gap. I recall moments when my wife and I had to step in to assist other Spanish-speaking families because no one else could do it. Today, the gap has been filled. Cultural Family Advocate had made it possible for families like mine to feel visible, valued, and engaged. For Latino families, this support can be a transformative turning point in a student's life. In my family's case, the advocates didn't just ensure my daughters have a positive school experience. They connect us to resources and opportunities that elevated their future success. These opportunities were critical to fostering their enthusiasm for learning and their emotional and social well-being and their motivation to grow. The result, thriving young women who were prepared not only to graduate, but to excel in post-secondary education and beyond. District 196's mission to educate, develop, and inspire our students for lifelong success come alive in the work of these cultural advocates. They build bridges between families, schools, and communities, embodying the district values of empathy, integrity, and well-being. Their efforts are the cornerstone of the district commitment to equity, creating an environment where students and their families can thrive. In my professional role as Esperanza United, I've seen the impact of these advocates firsthand. Under a memorandum of understanding, supported by the Office of Violence Against Women, we partnered with the district to create safe spaces to nearly 200 Latinos youth, addressing topics from violence prevention and healthy relationship. These collaborations opened doors to 2 Egan High School students to serve on a national advisory board, amplifying their voices, connecting them to national networks, and preparing them for leadership. Opportunities like these are possible because of the trust and relationship cultural advocates build with community organizations. Relationship that align directly with the district mission of lifelong success for all students. This collaboration is just one example of how cultural advocates embody the district values. Their work removes barriers to education, strengthens families' trust in the systems, and foster a sense of belonging. For many families, the advocates are the face of ISD 196, the people they turn to, confide in, and rely on. This trust is invaluable. What I have shared today underscores the extraordinary, immeasurable values of cultural family advocates. The dedication and compassion creates a ripple effect of success, well-being, and engagement that benefit not only individual families, but their entire district. Their work directly supports the district's strategic priorities, promoting well-being, achieving academic excellence, and embracing equity as a core value. As a parent, as a collaborator, as a member of this community, I urge you to continue investing in these programs and the individuals who make this transformative work possible. Supporting our cultural advocate is an investment in the future and our students, our families, our district, and our district as a whole. The success of our children is the success of our community. Let us continue to nurture it together. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome our next speaker to the podium, Beth Wakefield.
Good evening, Superintendent Bolsoni, school board, administration, and attendees. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Beth Wakefield, and I am the Talent Development Specialist at Echo Park Elementary and a 31-year veteran of this district. I am here to express my strong support for the vital work of the cultural family advocates in our district. These dedicated professionals are at the heart of ensuring equity, inclusion, and success for all of our students, particularly those from culturally diverse backgrounds. District 196 has long been celebrated for its commitment to fostering a welcoming, inclusive environment where all students can thrive. Our CFAs exemplify this commitment by bridging gaps between our families and our schools, empowering students and parents alike, and enriching our broader school community. The CFAs are more than just liaisons. They are advocates, educators, and problem solvers, often mirroring the work of social work. Through their tireless efforts, through their tireless efforts, they help students navigate the complexities of the school system to achieve academic success. They support cultural adjustment and social emotional development, ensuring that students feel a strong sense of belonging and safety. Indeed, it is our CFAs that students seek out as they enter our schools each morning, to take a moment to connect, to get a hug, or simply check in. They empower our families to actively engage in their children's education through conferences, workshops, and personalized communications, and they strengthen cultural competency across the district, providing our staff with the tools and insights to better serve our increasingly diverse student body. We see their impact every day in the more stable, engaged, and thriving student body that they help cultivate. Their work also enhances family participation, especially among groups that have historically felt excluded from school events or decision-making processes. Because of their dedication, our students, no matter their color, language, or country of origin, are overcoming barriers and achieving their potential. I believe we've been witness to that tonight. The results speak for themselves. Higher engagement for our families of color, a more inclusive, equitable environment across our schools, and students of color breaking through the racial disparities often seen across this state of Minnesota, doing academically well and graduating prepared for a bright future. In short, our cultural family advocates are indispensable to our district's mission and success. However, the demands on their time and expertise are increasing as our district becomes more diverse. Their workload has grown, yet their compensation has not kept pace. That is why I'm urging this board to prioritize supporting CFAs with a fair and equitable contract. These 20 experienced and dedicated professionals aren't asking for much, just a raise that accounts for inflation and rising healthcare costs. This is not only a fair request, but a wise investment for the future of this district. By supporting the CFAs, we are directly supporting the academic success and well-being of our students. We're fostering an inclusive, respectful culture that sets our district apart as a leader in education. Thank you for considering this request, and I hope you will commit to resolving this contract and continuing to strengthen our CFA program by valuing the incredible individuals who make it possible and ensuring that every student in our district has the support they need to succeed. Thank you.
Excellent. That concludes our special communication request portion of the agenda, and that brings us to our consent agenda tonight. Board members, we have 14 items on the consent agenda tonight. They include the minutes of the November 4th, 2024 regular school board meeting, the minutes of the November 12th, 2024 special school board meeting, gifts, quarterly gifts, treasurer's report for October 31st, 2024, Summary of claims for October 2024, schedule of investments for October 31st, 2024, revenues and expenditures report for October 2024, personnel, employment agreement, building assets, reducing risks agreement, joint powers agreement between Dakota County and School District 196, policy 601, education programs, and the new Rosemont Middle School big package number 2. Are there any items on the consent agenda that board members would like to remove tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Still moved.
Motion by Sakowden, seconded by Leah. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda passes on a 5-0 vote. That brings us to our report section of our agenda tonight, and I'd like to welcome Janet Finman to the podium to go over our special education overview.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the school board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. I am here tonight to provide an overview of our special education services, including specific information about our district's levels of service, the types of center-based programs we offer in District 196, and to highlight the alternative curriculum we've purchased for some of these programs. Special education services are designed to support students with disabilities, ensuring they can access the general education curriculum in the least restrictive environment. These services address the needs of students with a wide range of physical, cognitive, emotional, and developmental disabilities. The term general population in this context refers to creating equitable opportunities for all students, including those with disabilities, to succeed in their educational environments. Special education services are available to any student who qualifies under the eligibility criteria outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. These services aim to empower students with disabilities to fully engage in their educational journey, fostering equity, inclusion, and maximizing their learning potential. In essence, special education services strive to ensure that students with disabilities receive the individualized support they need to thrive, aligning with the principles that all students are entitled to a free, appropriate public education. District 196 offers a full continuum of services from setting 1 to setting 4. A later slide will provide definitions for each setting. The District 196 Special Education Department is dedicated to delivering high-quality educational experiences that meet the diverse needs of all learners. The Special Education Department plays a key role in advancing our strategic goals by ensuring that students with diverse needs receive the resources and support necessary for success. Central to our mission is the strong partnership we have with our general education colleagues. We recognize that meeting the complex needs of our students requires collaboration across all areas of the district, including general education staff, administrators, equity teams, instructional leaders, and paraprofessionals. We are committed to an inclusive mindset that values and supports all students. By building and enhancing systems of support, we aim to provide interventions that directly impact student achievement and ensure every student, regardless of need, receives the highest quality education. This handout you have, it was provided to you, provides some common definitions related to special education services and is by no means exhaustive. There's lots of definitions and education speak when it comes to special education. Special education services are designed to support students with disability, ensuring they can access the general education curriculum in the least restrictive environment. These services aim to provide equitable opportunities for all students to succeed, include individualized supports tailored to physical, cognitive, emotional, or developmental needs. Our district provides a full continuum of services, from inclusive classroom support to specialized settings. When we refer to the least restrictive environment, this graphic illustrates that concept. By law, students receiving special education services must be included in the general education setting as much as possible. This chart shows the legal definitions of the different levels of service, setting 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each represents a different degree of support, with setting 1 being the least restrictive and setting 4 being the most specialized. The child's team, including the parents, determine what supports are most appropriate. From birth to age 22, special education services are required to support students with disabilities at every stage of development. Services birth to 3 are provided in-home. They are family-focused to support early milestones like communication and motor skills. Services age 3 to 5 are preschool-based to build school readiness and social, emotional skills. Services kindergarten through 12th grade are individualized academic and social-emotional supports provided in the least restrictive environment. And ages 18 to 22 are transition services that focus on life skills, employment, and independence through vocational training and community-based learning. These services ensure continuous, individualized support from infancy to adulthood. This slide shows our current numbers, including numbers of sites, students, and staff. According to the Minnesota Department of Education's official report card, District 196 is above the state average in servicing students in special education. As of October 1st, 2023, state average was 17.4%, and District 196 was 17.8%. The state report for 2024 has not been released, but as of November 1st, 2024, the district's special ed average is 18.7%. District 196 offers 5 types of center-based programs across K-12 schools, serving students who receive setting 3 service minutes. The slide that showed the federal setting, I'm referring to center-based of students that receive setting 3 service minutes. This slide shows the location of these programs, and you have a handout with the names and definitions for reference. In 2017, we shifted from using disability categories as program names, for example, emotional behavior disorder program, to more strengths-based names, example, Achieve program. This change reflects our move from a deficit-based to a strengths-based approach. Please refer to the handout for details on the 5 types of center-based programs we currently offer in K-12 schools. District 196 has seen an increase of over 750 students receiving special education services over the past 6 years. This growth in special education enrollment is outpacing the district's overall student population growth. Now let's focus on 2 of our center-based programs where we are experiencing the most significant growth. These programs require a high staff-to-student ratio. Our Connect program, we have seen a 43% increase in students needing this type of program over the past 6 years. And our Strategies program, we have seen an increase of 21% of students needing this type of program. Both programs primarily serve students with autism, and this growth has created significant space challenges as well as the need for additional staff. For context, the additional 157 students in these programs require 21 additional classroom spaces. Now I will briefly discuss our special education specific sites, starting with early childhood special education. As mentioned in previous meetings, we continue to see significant growth in this area. You will notice on this slide the enrollment report that Coordinator Danny Duchesne will be presenting later, and the 671 you see, those numbers are different, and the reason for that is when we pulled the data for the 671, it was pulled on December 1st versus October 1st. So we've seen that number of increase from December 1st to October 1st. And we currently have over 200 evaluations in progress in early childhood special education. Brightworks is currently training our Birth to 3 team on the primary service provider model with a focus on parent coaching In this model, one team member serves as the primary contact for families, addressing their priorities while drawing on the expertise of the entire team to support the child's development. This slide shows the current location of our early childhood special education programs. Currently, we have early childhood special education programs housed in 9 of our 19 elementary schools, and the need for additional space continues to grow. Now let's highlight Dakota Ridge School. This is our Setting 4 site. We are currently serving 107 students and continue to provide staff with additional tools to ensure students are well prepared for learning. We are also exploring resources to support student regulation and enhance staff safety. We are happy to report that Dakota Ridge, we are fully staffed, and we have not been fully staffed at Dakota Ridge since before the pandemic. In our transition program, we've added an additional year of service due to recent changes in state law, extending the service from age 21 to 22. Staff are adjusting to students exiting the program as they turn 22 throughout the course of the year. Currently, we have 159 students enrolled. Our team includes licensed staff, paraprofessionals, job coaches, and we are still working to fully staff the program to support students' community experiences. We continue to hire additional staff to meet these needs. Next, you'll hear from Cammie Kramer, a parent who will share her experience navigating the journey of having a child that received services from early childhood through Transition Plus.
I remember being a parent of 3 kids in 4 buildings, almost 5, but 4, and that was a little crazy, but it also allowed us to experience so much of what the district has to offer, which is that every building has its uniqueness, but they're all amazing and welcoming. And sometimes as a special education parent or family, it can feel really isolating. Like going through a diagnosis or having a rough time in adolescence and needing more supports and feeling like, gosh, what's going on? Am I feeling? And then, having that support and moving on and then seeing things turn around. It's so incredible. And I just want to give people, hope, because as rough as it can be, I've been in this building in a conference room and felt pretty bleak. And gosh, the day Ellie got his driver's license, I didn't know if that would ever happen or be employed. And I'm so proud of him, and I'm really proud of the partnership that we've had. 196.
Thank you to Cammie and Elliot for sharing your story. Our staff often work with families in emotionally sensitive situations, and it's essential that we partner with them throughout this journey. I also want to highlight that Elliot is now, as Cammie mentioned, gainfully employed, which is our ultimate goal for each of our students. Finally, I'm going to briefly highlight the alternative curriculum that District 196 purchased for some of our center-based programs. This curriculum offers students with moderate to severe disabilities equitable and inclusive access to general education curriculum and the individualized interventions that support their success. It is designed to target general education standards via socially and developmentally appropriate research-based instruction. And here you just see our alternate curriculum in action in a couple of our classrooms and some professional development that the teachers engaged in through Encore. Our alternative curriculum coaches came out and supported our teachers, modeled some lessons. But now, if we can get this to work, you will hear from a teacher, Jennifer Arike, a high school special education teacher, who will share her experience using the alternative curriculum and how it's impacted her students.
I think the big thing that's happening with Encore with my students is that it's age appropriate, and there's not a lot of age appropriate material for students with cognitive disabilities. So when you have a kindergarten cognitive ability and you're looking for age appropriate content, it's very limited. And so for them to have access to a story like Robinson Crusoe is really amazing, because for the first time in their life, they're seeing something that they can almost relate to in a different way, that it's not kiddie, because they also understand that they're not kids, that they're young adults, and they want to be treated as young adults. And so the content that's provided in the story, the adapted version of Robinson Crusoe that we're studying, it gives them access to something that they've never had access to before.
Special education can be complicated for families to navigate. Our well-trained, dedicated staff and administrators are here to walk alongside, I'm going to back up once, are here to walk alongside families in their journey. We continue to experience growth in our center-based programs, which requires additional space, and it is our priority to ensure staff have the tools and resources necessary to deliver high-quality educational experiences to our students. And now I will open it up to any questions.
Are there any, oh, I knew that would happen. Are there any questions or comments from the audience at this time? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members. Leah.
Well, thank you, first of all. I think this is important information that I know a lot of families want and need. So thanks, this was really helpful. Two things. One, I'm wondering if you can provide an example, just to paint the picture a little bit more, of a level 1 support. I know it's a range, but can you just provide an example or two of what that might look like and how that works in a typical day? And then secondly, if you could say for a family, if they, think they might need services in this way, what's the first step?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so a level 1 student would be setting 1 and considered a resource student in our district. And the services could look a variety of ways, but typically they might be pulled out for maybe a math lesson or math direct service outside of the classroom and then pushed back in. The special education teacher could go into the classroom and support the general ed teacher alongside the student, but it is our least restrictive. So it's typically minimal services. And as far as first steps, I would say contact your building administrator or the school psychologist in your building if you have questions about the process. They are best equipped to answer those questions and walk you step by step through the process, what to expect throughout the process.
Anna.
Sorry. First of all, thank you, Janet, for doing definitions.
Mm-hmm.
That is really, really helpful. I appreciate you listening to the feedback and doing that for us. So thank you very much, and I'm sure the public appreciates that as well. So thank you. Second, super informative. Love it. Have so many additional questions now, which I really appreciate. Could you also provide us the supplemental information that we didn't have on the presentation? I can't see actually any of it. I wear trifocal contacts. I can't see anything. So if I could have it in front of me, if that ever happens in the future, because I know sometimes you're adding stuff at the last minute, just hand us out documents so we can take a look too. No.
There were a few slides missing, I think, is probably
Yeah.
what she's referring to. Good to know.
Okay. Yeah, I think it depends on when it happens. I don't know. But thank you. Thank you for saying that, Jackie, that if it's already on there. Okay, it needs to be refreshed.
Could be a
Appreciate that.
board docs thing, too,
Yeah,
which
it
we're
could be.
working on a larger
So,
scale.
thank you. Thank you for all that. So this information, is it on our website so that it's available to, like, even this overview? Do we put that on our website so that families who aren't necessarily here can get that kind of update?
We haven't, but it's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for those who haven't, they want to check it out, even that presentation would be great. Thank you for that.
Yep. Yep. And just for clarification, you're talking about the PowerPoint slides or the handouts that I gave you?
The handouts are great. The slides, there was 4 slides, 5 actually, because it ended with a summary that some of us weren't able to see, and it sounds like it just could be a
refresh.
I did reopen it, and they are there now magically.
Oh.
So, but I did have the same issue when I was
Okay.
following along. So I do think it
Okay.
is probably a board docs thing,
Yes.
but I
Not-
was.
Thank you.
yeah.
So that's, just for the record, it wasn't your fault. It's Board Docs.
Yes.
Thank you, Jackie.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Jackie?
Again, Janet, I would just like to thank you too, because you kind of took us through a graduate level course in about 20 minutes about all the things you need to know about special ed. I really thank you for the definitions, making sure that people understand the growth that we've gotten this in 196 in special ed. There's no way I could ask you a question if you think that's going to stop, but it's not going to stop. We are just really good at special ed. If I had a special ed student, I'd want him to be in this district too. I like the fact that you take the strategic roadmap that we've worked on and the mission, the vision, the core values, and the strategic priorities and put them in so we can exactly see what is going on in special ed and how they work into those, in that strategic roadmap. The other thing, and I know we've done this for a few years now, but I love the words thrive, connect, skills, achieve, and strategies. So they're not deficits. They're positives, what kids are building on and why they're in my classroom, because I'm in a Thrive classroom or in a Connect classroom. As a middle school teacher, having lots of different kinds of students in my classroom, these words are much more positive than the words years ago. And what a godsend. Makes a whole big difference. Maybe you can guess, though, about, we just do continue to see continued growth.
We do. The trends, I would say 10 years ago, we saw an uptick in the profile autism and needing setting 3 as a result of that. And we continue to see our Connect, as you see in the data, and strategies, that trend continuing. So we keep waiting for it to slow down in early childhood, and it's just not.
Thank you.
One other question.
Anna, go ahead.
Another question. I don't know if it was in public radio, Angela Davis did something, or someone did something about the special education, autism specifically, and how it's impacting different demographics. And it was alarming to me how it's impacting the Somali community disproportionately to other communities. And so I'm wondering, where do the cultural family advocates play a role in that? Is there integration that happens? And what that looks like? Because, yeah, that's alarming. I think it was 1 in 16 versus 1 in 32 or something like that, or 52.
I haven't looked at that specifically, but it would be
I'll
a good
send
data
it to
point
you. Yeah,
look
it
at.
was an interesting around Minnesota in general. So it was very alarming.
Thank you.
It is. And yes, cultural family advocates do support the continuum of services in our
Okay.
families. Absolutely.
Okay.
Janet, I just wanted to echo some of the other comments too. Great presentation. Love how it's laid out and just broken down into, well, special education there's a lot of information that can go into it, and it's very consumable from anyone even without a background in it, so thank you. I did have one question, and you might not have the answer, and that's totally fine. It was just more of an observation I saw, but I know with the statistics you mentioned, I think we know statewide, the special education identification is growing. We've seen that year after year after year. But I did take note that our district used to be just under the state average, and now we're just over the state average. So I'm just wondering if you have any, even, anecdotal thoughts about how maybe we've moved where maybe we're identifying faster than the state is identifying versus where we were even, I think, 3 years ago, I think we were still below.
It's a big question. What I will say is I do believe that our work around MTSS and providing more systematic intervention prior to special education, really focusing on our core curriculum, will have a direct result eventually. It's going to take some time for some of our students being serviced in potentially setting 1 classroom or setting 1 environments. So I do think that it potentially could have a positive impact on our district. As for the growth in center-based, I don't have an answer to that. I think that's a statewide phenomenon we're kind of grappling with, so.
Thank you. Appreciate the insight. Oh, yeah, sorry, did you have something else?
I'll get you that statistic and the source. It was 1 in 17 are diagnosed versus 1 in 53 of any other population.
Okay, okay.
That's,
I don't have a pen,
yeah.
but, yeah, write that down.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, I would like to welcome Danny Duchesne to the podium to go over our enrollment projections for 2025-26.
Good evening, Chair Johnson, members of the school board, Superintendent Bolsoni, and our District 196 community. My name is Danny Duchesne, Coordinator of Finance here in District 196. Tonight, District Administration presents this report for the 25-26 enrollment projections. Included in tonight's board packet are 2 documents: an enrollment summary document, which includes actuals for the past 5 years, and overall enrollment projections for the next 5 years. The second document is the school-by-school enrollment projections for the 25-26 school year. The Enrollment Projections Committee leads the development of the data that is presented here tonight. The committee, which began in 2005, is comprised of a combination of principals at each level, cabinet-level administration, and members of the district's finance team who are involved in our budgeting process. The district's projection model software utilizes a variety of inputs and variables, including different historical trends, reported births within the county and within the school district, cohort survival data, and knowledge of planned housing developments and new construction, as a couple of examples. The committee reviews multiple results and presents the final model to school principals as well as cabinet administration. Each enrollment projection cycle has its own unique challenges and variables that the committee must consider. The 25-26 cycle comes with especially unique circumstances, with the opening of elementary number 20 slated for fall of 2025. The opening of the new elementary school, the subsequent boundary changes, and the fact that we're still in the middle of the district intra-district transfer process, which is open until December 15th, were all factors taken into account during the committee's discussions and deliberations. So this is purely just to call out there's some nuance to this particular cycle with the opening of the new elementary school that we wouldn't have every single year. I presented this slide back in October when discussing the actual October 1st enrollment numbers. It's important to highlight that our enrollment projections process and the model that we use has been quite close over the past few years when projecting the total number of students in our district as a whole. While there may be some variations school by school each year, or fluctuations between projections and actuals, we have not seen the drastic fluctuations up or down district-wide for the past few years post-pandemic. The projected enrollment for the 25-26 school year is 29,010 students, with nearly 40% at the elementary level and 54% at the secondary level. That total also includes projected center-based special education enrollment of 1,406, and early childhood special education enrollment of 600. With how the district projects enrollment, essentially what we're doing is we're trying to project what is the October 1st enrollment head count for the following year. So the 25-26 enrollment projection of 29,010 students aligns between the October 1st actuals for the past 2 years. And really we look at this as a signal of consistent, stable enrollment moving forward. As Janet mentioned, the district does project that center-based special education and early childhood special education enrollment counts will continue to rise. The graph displayed here shows a visual representation of the 10-year trend at each level for non-special education enrollment. Data points to the left of the vertical center line represent October 1st actuals for that particular school year, and data points to the right represent the projections provided in tonight's board packet. What I really want you to focus on in this particular graph is that we're pretty consistent across the board. We're not seeing sharp mountains, we're not seeing sharp valleys on from any given year at any given level, which supports our projection of stable enrollment across the district. As I mentioned, the district is projecting overall stable enrollment, with enrollment starting to increase based on new housing and new planned construction, especially on the east side of the district, 2, 3, 4 years from now. We do anticipate center-based special education and early childhood special education enrollments will continue to rise, and that will have an impact in our district. Part of this particular enrollment projections cycle is that we don't know the impact of elementary 20. We don't know the impact of all the other subsequent boundary changes yet. And so every year that we get, every year after elementary 20 is open, those will be actual data points that will then get put into the model for future years, which will help us narrow down what those actual long-term impacts are of those particular boundary changes. These projections will be utilized for the district's financial planning model, as well as utilized for budget allocations to the buildings for the 25-26 preliminary budget, which that budget cycle will start in the spring. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Excellent. Thank you very much. Stable enrollment is very good, and we are all looking forward to seeing what elementary school number 20 will do. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to the old business portion of our agenda tonight. And first on the docket is I'd like to welcome Christopher Onyango-Robshad to the podium to go over our Truth in Taxation 2024, payable in 2025.
Good evening, Chair Johnson, members of the board, Superintendent Bolsoni, and our public stakeholders. I'm Christopher Onyango-Robshad, Director of Finance and Operations for the district, and this today serves as our Truth in Taxation hearing for the levy payables in 2025. I'll quickly review our timeline. So I was back here in September on 23rd of 2024, and the board at that time certified the proposed levy. Since then, once that process was concluded, initial documents were sent off to the county, and then from there, there's typically an election in November. We did not have any questions on the ballot this year, but in future, should we have any items, those would be taken into consideration as the impact of that election would affect our taxes. Following the November election, the Dakota County sends notices to the taxpayers in the district. After those notices go out, we then have this hearing, which is required in statute. And it's a result of this hearing during which the board will allow public to comment on the impact of the taxes and then also certify what the district's levy is going to be for next year. When we go through this process, when we review our strategic plan, what we're trying to do is start setting the revenue piece, one of the revenue components for FY 25-26. And this aligns with our strategic roadmap in that it assures that there are enough resources available to satisfy the educational needs of our students. As I mentioned earlier, our proposed taxes make up a huge component of our overall tax base. The chart on the left is the overall district budget, and this includes all funds. And so you can see across the system, 56% of our aid comes from state aid. We have other local, which includes donations, interest, and earnings of 17%. Federal contributions to the system are at 3%. But almost a quarter of our revenue comes directly in the form of property taxes. The graph on the right then breaks down what components of our property taxes go within each fund. The biggest share of that going toward our general fund, otherwise called Fund 1, at 77%. Our debt service fund, Fund 7, has 22%, and Community Education Fund 4 has 1% that it receives in form of property taxes. When property taxes are collected from our taxpayers, there are two components. There is the voter approved, which the school board's action allowing for referendums or elections directly impact that portion. And then there are other portions of our levy which the school board has no control over. These are items that are established in state statute, or items that have an aid and levy mix. So, for example, QComp, we participate in the quality compensation program for our teachers, and when we receive those funds, a portion of the investment that the state is making to the district, they say this school district taxpayers need to partner in ensuring that the QComp dollars are flowing. So there's an aid and levy component mix. The same is true for our long-term facilities projects and operating capital. So non-voter approved, established in statute, voter approved, school board says have an election, and as the voters approve the election result, then we receive those tax dollars. A recap again on our debt, on our fund, on our revenue pieces by fund. So 22% of our aid comes for debt service. We receive these funds to settle debt obligations, so principal and interest payments that the school district has. General fund, 76%, and this comes for capital projects around the building. So I mentioned long-term facilities maintenance, operating capital. Also to pay for tech devices. So when we talk about our capital projects levy, otherwise called tech levy, these funds are coming into the district through the general fund. It also pays for our instructional materials and also staff. The board and the public remember in 2019, as part of our referendum, we reduced class sizes. That directly impacts teachers. And there was also a mental health component that was included in that referendum. Those are all components of staff that are included within the general fund. Community education receives funding for staff and program needs, for early childhood, for adults with disabilities, among other areas. This table makes a comparison between the last 2 years. So current payable 2024 levy and next year's payable 2025 levies. And overall, we're seeing a decline of $892,722. Otherwise, it's a 0.5% decline from prior year. Most of that is in the general fund to the tune of almost $1 million. And it is a component of part of what's driving that is our general fund. There are different components, but the main item that is declining for next year's levy is due to our enrollment. So a portion of our taxes are based on enrollment and referendum market value. So since our enrollment has been flat, we're projecting, and again, just conservative budgeting, that we don't want to receive too much and then have it paid back. So we're just holding back a little bit in terms of enrollment, and that's what's driving that almost $1 million decline. Community education is held steady at with a change of just $26,000, and debt service is also holding steady with an increase of $129,000. This graph tries to compare different valued homes across the district. We're assuming no change in the property values. So if you added a bathroom, that will change your home's taxable market value. We're assuming in this instance that since 2020 through 2025, that has not happened. And across the 5 years that we're showing on this graph, you can see that the last 2 years there's a decline, but overall, our tax rate, the school district's tax portion for property values has been relatively even and or slightly declining. If you own an average valued home, so this chart now looks at the average valued home over the last 5 years. So 2020, the average valued home in the district was $314,000. In 2025, the estimated market value for an average valued home is $419,000. And again, we're seeing an increase in the district's portion of taxes. However, between last year, 2024, and for 2025, there's a decrease. And what we calculate here is about a 5% decrease. This will vary property to property because there are other taxing jurisdictions that are also contributing to the overall homeowner's tax impact. So what are we seeing? In summary, $892,000 decrease in overall district levy. Overall property values increased by 1%. However, the district portion of property taxes is decreasing by 5%. Again, as I mentioned, this is serves as the truth in taxation hearing, and at this point, I would recommend that the school board allow for the public to make comments on the proposed levy, following which I would ask for certification of the levy. Thank you.
Excellent. So this is an action item tonight, but before I go to motion, since this is our truth in taxation, are there any, before we get the motion, are there any questions or comments from the public for the truth in taxation? Seeing none, is there a motion from the board to certify the maximum total levy of $156,041,547.65 for taxes payable in 2025?
Second.
Motion by Jackie, second by Anna. Are there any other questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, there's a motion by Jackie, seconded by Anna. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Thank you, Christopher. All right. Next up, I would like to welcome Shelley Munson to the podium to go over our 2025-26 school calendar.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Balsani. I'll be referring to the proposed school calendar for the 2025-26 school year. This planning calendar was developed and recommended by district and building administrators and representatives from Dakota County United Educators, which included teachers from each level, middle school, elementary school, and high school, and shared with parent leaders for their feedback. Once a calendar is approved, we will create a calendar very specifically that calls out school days for our families. Just to start with, similar to our current school year, middle school and high school students will have 2 school days prior to Labor Day. This allows for a calendar where all grades K-12 finish school on the same date as our secondary students have 2 additional days of school over our elementary students. We continue to have a student assessment day for elementary students prior to Labor Day. This allows students and their families to meet the teacher as well prior to the first day of school, which will be on September 2nd. The last day of school, again for all K-12, would be on June 4th. To give just a little more detail on certain aspects of the calendar, as there are a variety of factors the committee must consider when putting together a calendar recommendation that includes where staff development and data analysis days are designated, as well as conferences and breaks. And we've had some questions on those that I wanted to delve into a little bit. Starting with staff development, just going back to when the READ Act was adopted in 2023, District 196 convened a large task force of staff, students, and parents to problem solve how to provide teachers with time to complete that new literacy training. The task force recommended we convert 3 student days to professional development days. Because significant training still needed for the remainder of our staff, the 3 staff development days are being continued for 25-26. The placement of those additional days is made in consultation with our Instruction and Achievement Department in order to align with the training requirements. The committee did modify the placement of one of these days after receiving feedback from our parent leader group. The staff development days that we continue to have every year are usually aligned at the end of trimesters. So there is a staff development day on November 26th that aligns to the end of the trimester on the day prior, similar to this year. And teachers have indicated that having staff development at the end of a trimester is important as they're getting ready to close out one try and get ready for the next trimester. March 6th is the other end of trimester staff development day in the 25-26 calendar. Data analysis and instructional alignment days provide time for staff to review and analyze student data to make instructional adjustments and better meet students' learning needs. With the implementation of FastBridge, data is available sooner for teachers to analyze and adjust instruction. The calendar aligns with when the data is available. Winter break aligns often with state holidays, and you've probably seen that over the last 10 years, most years we've had breaks somewhere between 6 days and this year 8 days, with just a couple years where we've had a full 2 weeks of winter break. The committee considered having school days on December 22nd and on December 23rd, as several other school districts have scheduled for the 25-26 calendar. Those dates are not school days. If they're not school days or staff work days, it delays the end of the school year until the second week of June. We found that instructional benefit for students as school days earlier in the year to be more beneficial. The committee ultimately recommended a data analysis day on December 22nd and staff development on December 23rd to allow teachers to prepare for instructional adjustments based on data and to be ready for when students return from winter break. Collecting input's an important part of the process, and as I mentioned when the calendar was presented last month, the calendar committee would like to seek additional input from stakeholders and further explore more options for the 2026-27 calendar before bringing that calendar proposal to you at a future meeting. On behalf of administration, I recommend that you approve the 2025-26 school calendar, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is an action item tonight, so before we go into the questions, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
I heard Leah speak first and then Jackie second. So Leah made the motion, second by Jackie. Thank you both very much. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Jackie.
Thank the committee. This is a committee no one wants to be on because nobody can agree, and you're trying to fit in 168 or 165 student days, and it's kind of like trying to get, 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound bag, as my grandma used to say. And everybody wants it between Labor Day and Memorial Day, or the other way around. And this is really hard to figure out all the student days, to figure out when it is best for teacher workshop days. We have a commitment from the state to do so many days, and they did a nice job. And not everybody is still happy with it, but they did a really nice job, so thank them, because this is rough work. Thank you. They did a good job.
Anna.
I do have a question. So on those staff development days, my understanding, or help me understand, are teachers, are they restricted on taking those as personal days? What's our policy around that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. In our teacher bargaining agreement, our contract, the staff development days and the data analysis days have been restricted from taking personal leave. That was kind of that really strong commitment of the district, that those days were important enough to not be school days, that we really thought it was important to have staff there. As we've added these 3 days, so this year, with that new REDAC training, we did enter into a memorandum of understanding with DQ, with our teacher union group, to allow for personal leave on those days. So a little bit different than the contract, as we knew that would be hard to have an additional 3 days identified. We'd anticipate we'll do that again for the 25-26 year, but obviously the calendar would need to be approved first. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Thank you again. Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
After the 26-27 school year, then we will add those 3 days back to student contact days, most likely.
Yeah, I think that's something that, again, we would take that direction from the school board and from the cabinet and superintendent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. We have a motion to approve the calendar from Leah, seconded by Jackie. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to welcome Rachel Hughes to the podium to go over 2025-26 middle school and high school course revisions.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the school board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. At the November 4th board meeting, I had an opportunity to present an overview of the annual course revision process for middle and high schools, in addition to describing some of the proposed new courses for the 24-25 school year. Course revisions are prepared annually, and recommendations are made to add, drop, replicate, or rename courses. Following board approval, each year the course revisions become part of the materials for the registration process that begins in January. A detailed listing of course revisions is also included in today's board packet for reference. I am presenting the proposed 25-26 course revisions this evening as old business, and am recommending approval. I'm also happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you very much. This is another action item tonight. So is there a motion to approve the middle school and high school course revisions for 2025-26?
So moved.
Motion by Leah. Is there a second? Seconded by Jackie. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Questions or comments from board members? This is the second reading, so I think you got all of our comments last month, but I'll just reiterate, these are always really exciting to read. Love seeing the direction we're going in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's a motion to approve from Leah, seconded by Jackie. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to our new business portion of our agenda. I'd like to welcome Eric Hansen to the podium to go over personal finance and required graduation credits.
Okay, good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the school board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. Tonight I'll be sharing information on our graduation requirements, specifically regarding the addition of the personal finance required course. Last month, personal finance was presented to you during a new course proposal. Our strategic priorities, well-being, achievement, and equity, have served as our guiding framework throughout this process and will continue to inform our decision-making. In May of 2023, Minnesota legislation established a graduation requirement for a personal finance course in all school districts. This initiative aims to help students make informed financial decisions, understand the impact...
Eric, real quick, I think the slides aren't advancing.
Whoop. Thank you. Understand the impact of financial commitments, build security and confidence for a productive future, and reach their full potential or personal financial goals. Minnesota is now the 20th state in the nation to guarantee personal finance education for our high school graduates. As Minnesota Department of Education navigated the complexity of this requirement, MDE took extended time on licensure and learning objectives and only recently released guidance for implementing this requirement. The legislation states that students who entered 9th grade this school year, 2024 and 25, and thereafter are now required to successfully complete a course for credit in personal finance in grades 10, 11, or 12. And a teacher of personal finance course must have a teaching license in agricultural education, business, family and consumer science, social studies, or math. With this information, we were charged with how we would implement this requirement in our high schools. We reviewed several options with high school principals and assistant principals, members of the Instruction Achievement Department, and members of Cabinet to decide how this course would be offered in our district. After conversations with neighboring districts and with guidance from MDE, we came to the conclusion that personal finance would be best offered as a standalone course and be taught by teachers with the qualified licensure. This option provides flexibility, course fidelity, and consistency between our 4 comprehensive high schools. Our current graduation requirement policy states students must complete 66 credits of coursework at the high school level, grades 9 through 12 inclusively, to be eligible for high school graduation. By adding the new required personal finance course, District 196 graduation credit requirements increase from 66 to 67 credits, which puts us 2.5 credits over the state minimum, which is equal to 2 trimester course requirements. In collaboration with district leaders, building administrators, and the school board, we recommend moving a required District 196 credit to our elective choices and remain at 66 credits for graduation. District 196 currently exceeds state requirements in general electives, safety education, social studies, physical education, and wellness. This is the first reading, and there is no board action required tonight. We are presenting this recommendation, and I'll be back in January for board approval. District and building administrators engaged in multiple conversations to discuss the pros and cons of reducing a required credit in each of the areas District 196 exceeds our state graduation requirements. As mentioned when I began this presentation, well-being, achievement, and equity served as our guiding framework throughout this process to inform our decision-making. Through this process, I would like to bring forward a recommendation to move our district-required safety education course to an elective choice beginning in the 2025-26 school year. Safety education will continue to be offered, but offered as an elective course and not a district graduation requirement, as it is not a state-required course. While we value the opportunity for students to engage in the content of this course, we feel that this course is best offered as an elective, allowing flexibility in student choice. With this proposed adjustment, District 196 remains over the state graduation required credits by 1.5 trimester credits, which equates to 1 trimester course. District leadership is interested in taking a comprehensive look at the required credits that District 196 currently exceeds the state by engaging our students, our staff, and families in examining strengths and challenges with our current graduation requirements. We all know that our future is changing, and new state course requirements will likely be added to best prepare our students for college and career readiness. Our plan would be to engage our students, our staff, and families through small group discussions and surveys to identify current perceptions of our district's graduation requirements, as well as our current course offerings. Our goal would be to ensure we gather a wide range of voices and perspectives and bring back our findings and recommendations to the school board in May. I am happy to answer any questions or hear any comments.
Thank you very much. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Yeah, Jackie.
I think it's really smart. I like what you did with the qualified licensures, because it could have been an agriculture teacher. We don't have very many of those in the district, but business, family, consumer science, social studies, or math. And if you would have put, it has to be a social studies teacher, that might not work. It might work in some schools in some years, and it might not work in other schools. Family and consumer science teachers, there's not always a lot of them around. And so I think by leaving that, by saying it's qualified licensure, and it could be any one of those, it has really led for a lot of flexibility in the building. So I think that was a really good way to use that and to put that bill into, or put that class into our schools. Thank you.
Excellent. I just wanted to add, there's a couple things in here I really like, and I just wanted to kind of call that out. I do appreciate and like the current recommendation. I also really, really appreciate the comprehensive review that's added in here as well. You know, one thing I'm consistently thinking about is, why are our graduation requirements the way that they are? And why do we only change them when the state makes us? And I love this comprehensive review, because those are questions that, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever been able to answer, and I don't expect anyone to answer that, because they're hard questions based in probably many, many years of how we've operated. But I really like our district to be on the forefront and be very proactive versus waiting for the state to force us to make changes. I mean, we're hearing about computer science possibly being, can we get ahead of that? And just how are we educating our students for the world of tomorrow? So I really appreciate that we're not just making one change because the state made us, but we're also having that comprehensive look to evaluate all of our graduation requirements and what that future looks like. So thank you for doing that as well.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Being new to my position allows me to dig into some of those questions as well. So it's good timing.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Well, we will see you back next month for the second reading. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to welcome Kaya Bruce to the podium to go over our Connection preschool fees for 2025-26.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. I'm sharing with you tonight the first reading of the proposed Connections preschool fee increases for the 25-26 school year. Community Education is proposing a tuition adjustment for the 2025-26 Connections preschool program. The proposed fee schedule is based on federal poverty guidelines and follows the sliding fee structure outlined in Regulation 507.2 AR, Student Fees and Fines. Tuition rates are determined by factors such as family size, annual income, and course description. To ensure our fees remain competitive and equitable, a market fee study was conducted in early November. This study compared preschool tuition rates from comparable and neighboring districts, as well as local non-public preschool programs. The findings reveal that our current fees are significantly lower than the average rates in these comparisons, even when excluding non-public preschool programs. Additionally, the Connections preschool program experienced a budget deficit during the 2023-24 school year. With rising program expenses, including increased staff costs, a tuition adjustment is necessary to maintain the program's financial sustainability. The proposed fee increases for the 25-26 school year are designed to address these financial challenges while remaining competitive within market rates, while still keeping our fees below those of comparable and neighboring districts. This is the first reading, so no action is needed, and I will return on January 13th to request your approval, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Thank you very much, Kaya. We'll see you next month for the second reading.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, next on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Danny Duchesne back to the podium for our 2024-25 final budget.
Once again, good evening, Chair Johnson, members of the school board, Superintendent Balsoni, and our District 196 community. Tonight, District Administration presents the 2024-25 final budget for a first reading and review. Included in the board packet for this evening is a draft of the final budget book, which I have a black and white copy of here. The budget book includes a wealth of information about the various funds of the district and how the final budget is developed. The content presented here tonight is a high-level summary of some of the key pieces of information provided in the budget book. Before I begin sharing tonight's budget content, there are a couple of quick thank yous that our team would like to extend. First of all, thank you to all the budget administrators, principals, and department managers for all their hard work, their time, and their planning during this particular budget cycle. I'd also like to thank Kim Woods, Manager of Financial System, Reporting and Compliance in our Finance Department, who is on the front lines of supporting all of the various budget managers and administrators within the district, and she does a great job. Secondly, my favorite thank you every single budget cycle is just a big thank you to all the students who allow us to showcase their artwork in our budget books and really bring those budget books to life. It's one of our favorite things to do is request the artwork, receive it, and then decide what goes where and see how it turns out. So really showcases how incredible our students are.
Then do we send them a budget book?
We'll put that in the budget for next time.
Is that in the budget? I don't.
Yeah.
It's important to ground ourselves with the district's strategic roadmap and continually remind ourselves with how the budget aligns to the district's mission, vision, core values, and strategic priorities, providing our staff and students with the resources needed to execute our roadmap. A quick reminder of where we are within the 24-25 budget cycle. The final budget is step 3 for the current fiscal year. And this is really the first opportunity for us to make adjustments to the preliminary budget using some actual information. A couple of those key pieces of information are actual prior year ending fund balances and also using October 1st actual enrollment headcount to prepare the final budget. Later this spring, the finance team will do a full review of the budget and make any necessary adjustments before culminating with our annual financial audit beginning in the summer of 2025. The 24-25 final budget utilizes the actual October 1st, 24 enrollment count of 29,040 students, which was presented to the board at its October 7th meeting. The final budget also includes 3,999 budgeted regular FTEs across all employee groups. A few interesting tidbits regarding the district's licensed teaching staff provided by the Human Resources Department. 66% of our licensed teachers have been with the district for at least 5 years. 45% of licensed teachers have been with the district for at least 10 years, and over 80% of licensed teachers have an advanced degree. Transitioning over to the financial information for the final budget. Final budget total revenues across all funds comes in at $666 million. The general fund accounts for the largest share of the revenue budget at $509 million, or 76.4%. The district's internal service funds account for $79 million, or 11.9% of all budgeted revenues. And the district's internal service funds are our health, our dental, and our severance funds. You will note if you compare this to the final budget from last year that our total revenue budget is lower in 24-25 than it was in 23-24, and this is due to the bond issuances from the 2023 bond referendum, where we received the first bond proceeds last year. We will not receive bond proceeds this year. The next issuance will happen next year. So that's where you'll see some fluctuations as far as total amounts or percentages for each fund. That stems from whether we're receiving those bond proceeds in the construction fund. On the expenditure side of the equation, budgeted expenditures across all funds total $794 million. Similar to budgeted revenues, the general fund accounts for the largest share of budgeted expenditures at $514 million, or right around 65%. The second largest share of budget expenditures is that building construction fund at $130 million, or 16.4%. It is expected that expenditures in the building construction fund far outpace revenues. Once again, we received revenue last year, but also this is the first full year that construction planning for a lot of the major projects have started to ramp up, and so our total expenditures within the building construction fund is going to increase significantly. Diving into the district's general fund, which is our main operating fund. As is common across districts in the state, state aids accounts for the largest share of revenue sources at 70.4% of budgeted revenues, with property taxes providing 23.6% of general fund revenue sources for the current fiscal year. In the general fund, federal sources, budgeted at nearly $11 million, comes in at 2.2%. One thing to note about federal sources in the general fund, we had about $500,000 worth of COVID grant funding remaining coming into 24-25. That was exhausted in July, August, and September of this year. So we are back to pre-pandemic federal funding levels within the general fund. So next year we should see that number down near 10.5 million, which is pretty standard for federal funds. Two ways we can review the expenditure budget are by program and by classification. The program dimension essentially categorizes expenditures into broad buckets, while the object dimension or classification tells us the what that we are purchasing: salaries, benefits, supplies, and so on. 86.6% of our general fund budget is slated for programming that directly impacts students, and 81.1% of the general fund expenditure budget is for staff compensation and salaries. So connecting this back to our district strategic roadmap, this is a direct reflection of the district's budget prioritizing student-centered programming and investing in the people and relationships that deliver that programming. Zooming back out, taking a 30,000-foot view at fund balances for all funds, our total anticipated fiscal year 25 ending fund balance is $379 million, with the general fund accounting for $106 million and the building construction fund accounting for $176 million. As previously mentioned, the building construction fund is the main reason for the decrease in total fund balance, as construction expenditures will far outpace revenues for this particular year. This is obviously an expected decrease in this fund and the impacts of the district's overall fund balances. Well, it's quite important for us to connect our budgeting practices with the district's strategic roadmap. It's equally important to connect our budgeting practices to the outcomes that our students and staff experience, some of which are very easily measurable, others of which are more memorable. The district's budget isn't merely a set of numbers in various charts and funds in a beautiful budget book. It really is the catalyst that connects our students, staff, and resources together so that all of these opportunities, whether they're quantifiable or developmental, are even possible. Our recommendation tonight is to review the 24-25 final budget. We will be back at the January 13th, 2025 school board meeting for a second reading and recommended approval. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Excellent. This time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? I just say we have a very large budget, and one thing above anything I really, really appreciate is fiscal transparency and the responsible use of taxpayer resources. And that is, in addition to all the fancy artwork, that is one reason I love the budget book that we put out. It is, I'm just going to say it every time, for any community member watching this or anyone in the audience, if you ever have a question about our budget, you can find the answer in that budget book. Your team has won awards for putting that book together, and it is organized extremely well. Even being a new board member, when I was trying to understand our $666 million budget I was approving, I went to that book and learned a lot. So thank you thank you for the presentation, but especially for all the work your team puts into making our complicated budget as transparent as possible to the public. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you next month. Next, I'd like to welcome Janet Swieczkowski to the podium to go over our legislative priorities for 2025.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Balsani. I'm here tonight to present a first draft of the district's legislative platform in your board packet. At the outset, we want to thank our local legislators for their commitment to public education, to families, and to our communities. During the last biennium, the legislature invested in our children, families, and public education to start closing an inflationary gap that lasted 20 years. There were also significant new mandates, more than 300 pages of new legislation impacting schools. Our Legislative Advisory Council and Budget Advisory Council met in November to discuss this year's legislative priorities. And I'd like to note that at this meeting was held before the state's budget forecast was released last week. But at this meeting, the top priority from that meeting was to allow districts and MDE time to fully implement the 2023 laws before instituting any new school mandates. So our number one ask is for no new mandates. There are 4 items that we wish to highlight on our platform that I'll draw attention to today. Number 1, if you listened to the state's budget forecast last week, you heard that investments in special education were highlighted for growth in the state's budget during the following biennium. We are thankful for that investment in special education. The legislature invested heavily last session to close what we call the Special Education and English Language Development Cross-Subsidy. That is the promises that we have heard for decades of a state and federal and local partnership to fund special education that has been underfunded for decades. Last biennium, the state legislature put money toward that cross-subsidy and made a historic step forward in allocating funding to close the special education cross-subsidy by 50%, which is significant. This has been a priority for local school districts that we've been advocating for years, and we want to thank our legislators again for this important step forward. We urge them to continue on this path forward and protect that investment moving forward. During the 2023-24 sessions, the legislature also invested heavily in literacy and the READ Act. There is significant training required for this program, 45 hours of learning time for all staff, for each staff member involved in literacy education, and fulfilling the reskilling that we need to do of our educational staff and those coming through our university pipelines will take time, and we urge the legislator to ensure that training is required in the future at the university teacher licensure program levels. There are 2 employment law priorities that are also on the platform. One is related to the new family leave law that will be coming into place in January, taking effect January 1 of 2026 for all employers in Minnesota. This is not just an educational factor. It will provide eligible employees a combined 20 weeks of paid leave for family and medical reasons, and the benefits include 55% to 90% of the employee's wages. School districts have not traditionally provided this benefit for this length of time, and so we do believe that this is an unfunded mandate that we hope the legislature will look at for this year. We're asking the legislature to look at long-term funding required as this law is enacted and get ahead of it. In 2023, school districts were surprised by some of the laws that required additional investment, particularly in unemployment insurance areas. Our next item is the unemployment insurance funding. In 2023, when lawmakers extended unemployment insurance to cover bus drivers, substitute teachers, cafeteria workers, classroom aides, and other seasonal workers during the summer months, the state provided one-time funding for unemployment insurance, and that funding is expected to run out this summer. The law has also negatively impacted our district's ability to staff summer programs, and we are looking at staffing programs right now based on staff availability and offering programs based on staff availability rather than student need. So we would like to work collaboratively with our legislators to provide long-term funding for that program and look at ways we can incent employees to take positions over the summer. There are other priorities that we are keeping on our platform from prior years. Those are related to local control, reducing special education paperwork, and bonding authority for the Apple Valley Sports Arena. Again, this is a first draft of our priorities. We'll be collecting feedback in the coming weeks and present a final platform to the board in January.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from the audience at this time? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Thank you very much for this first reading, and I hope you get some good feedback so we can see you back next month with the final version. Excellent. That brings us almost to the end of our agenda tonight since we don't have anything under other actions, so I will turn it over to Superintendent Bolsoni for superintendent updates.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. It's been a meeting with a lot of great information today, and I appreciate everybody's engagement with all of the presentations. Exciting news, our district is now accepting suggestions for naming our new elementary school number 20. And we have a survey on our website, and we invite community members to participate before December 30th. We will bring a recommendation for the new school's name to the board in January. I would also like to highlight upcoming arts performances at our schools. Egan High School presents Beauty and the Beast through December 14th. Eastview High School is presenting Les Mis through December 15th, and Rosemont High School presents the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee through December 15th. Also, a final reminder that we are in the application window for parents and guardians who are interested in applying to have their child attend a magnet school in District 196 next year. The deadlines to submit applications are December 15th for Valley Middle School of STEM, December 20th for the School of Environmental Studies, a school that was just recently highlighted in the Star Tribune, and January 3rd for elementary magnet schools. This month, our elementary magnet schools are holding open house events, both in the morning and evening on the following dates: Oak Ridge Elementary, tomorrow, December 10th, Cedar Park Elementary, December 10th and December 12th, Glacier Hills Elementary School, December 10th, and Echo Park Elementary School, December 16th. And for more information and links to these applications, please go to district196.org/magnet schools. Thank you. That ends my report tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, Superintendent Bolsoni. I just have one update before I turn it over to the rest of the school board to see if they have any updates. Earlier tonight, the school board met to select finalists for our 2 open vacancies on the school board, as you can see that we have. We received 24 applications, and on behalf of the board, I wanted to extend my sincere thank you to everyone that took the time to apply to our open vacancies and volunteer to support and serve public education. At the end, the board can only pick 2 candidates to fill our open vacancies, and tonight they selected 6 candidates to interview on December 16th. The 6 candidates that they selected to interview are Robin Sirio, Amy Feeder, Catherine Hill Diamond, Pachia Mua, Andrea Sutherland, and Matt Siren. I will be sending out more information to those candidates with logistics and things like that. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing them on December 16th for an interview. At this time, are there any other board members with items they'd like to share? Leah?
Just really quick, I do want to speak to, we got a lot of important feedback tonight, and I think we've gotten a lot in our inboxes in the last month. And I just wanted to say for everyone who has shared their feedback, how much we do appreciate that and value being able to hear those perspectives. And even if that, doesn't result in everyone getting what they want, I think, that has to do with all of the various factors that we need to weigh. But, similar to what the superintendent said earlier, I think it's important to acknowledge how much we appreciate all of the staff in 196, whether that's a teacher, a custodian, a CFA, a para, that the work matters and is deeply appreciated by me, and I know not just me. So just wanted to put that out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leah. And I saw a lot of head nods when you were speaking, so definitely not just you. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jackie, seconded by Leah. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we stand adjourned until January 13th.